Our next movement is a bodyweight only movement. This is a half-kneeling lateral bound. I'm gonna set up in a split stance position, almost like a lunge position, and then I'm gonna put my back knee all the way down to the ground. I'm gonna lean slightly forward, so my weight is forward on this front leg. I like to always start with my opposite arm out in front because it's gonna help me teach good sprint mechanics and moving my body, keeping my body nice and balanced. So I've got my right leg out in front, I'm leaning forward so the weight is on the ball of my foot, my left arm is out in front. I'm gonna drive through both feet to jump up, switch legs and land in the same position on the other side. I'll do it nice and easy, so it's gonna be a very small jump. It's more about learning the sequencing first. So this is what it looks like. So notice I landed in the exact same half-kneeling position, leaning slightly forward. Now my left leg is forward and my right arm is forward. I didn't jump very high, I just jumped up and switched legs. Now I can start to advance that by adding more height like this, or I can begin to add more distance. So there's a lot of ways to do this movement, but let me talk you through it real quick. What we're doing here is we're teaching muscle sequencing to create force in this split position. You notice this looks a lot like sprinting. Any type of running, jumping is going to use this same muscle sequencing. So that's what we're training here through this movement. Not only are we teaching the body how to be explosive in this movement, but even more importantly, we're focusing on decelerating on the landing. So controlling and absorbing the landing, which is really, really good for injury prevention. So this is one of the first movements I used to teach professional athletes, but it's great for anybody from elite professional athletes down to my grandmother who just needs to be able to absorb force laterally through the hips to prevent injury. A couple real key points here. As I drive, I want to drive my front leg through the ground. As you notice, I'm slightly leaning this way, the way I want to go. The more distance I'm going for, the more I have to lean to make sure my body gets the right angle to produce and absorb force. So I'm slightly leaning to my left, the way I want to go. I'm going to drive through this leg as I jump up. Now notice as I land, I fell to this side because I'm leaning to this side to make sure I absorb force so that I don't fall over, because my momentum is going to be carrying me that way. And that is part of the training. I'm learning how to maneuver my body weight to get in the right position to then engage the right musculature to absorb and produce force. So that's a half-kneeling lateral bound. If you want to advance it, I already showed you, you can jump further or jump higher, but one other thing you can add in, we can add a single leg stick as I jump. So I'm going to drive off this leg, stick it in a skater position, and then I'll drop back down, put my knee on the ground, reset. And my goal is to try to absorb that force on that single leg. Much more challenging, going to be a lot more balance involved there, but that's going to force all the muscles, especially I'm doing this barefoot on the grass, so all the muscles in my foot, my ankle, my calf, everything that supports my knee, all the way up through my hip, my glutes, all of this musculature, my core, is all going to fire not only to produce that force, but to absorb the force on the other side. So it's an excellent teaching and training exercise. I recommend you do this one for 3 or 4 sets, only about 3 to 4 reps on each side. Make sure that they're all perfectly executed, really high quality reps.